YouTube. Welcome back to VEDA Day 30. And the topic for the day is, what is the happiest day of your life? And I thought of a couple of different days. Let's see, the day I was born, I don't know. I've seen babies when they're born and they don't look particularly happy. They look tired and they look cranky, and they look like they have a lot of stuff to figure out that they haven't figured out. So it's probably not the day I was born. The day I was married, well, I mean, a lot of happy things have stemmed from that day. I have two amazing kids that I love very much, and they make me very happy, and that wouldn't have happened without my wife and all of her effort. So, but, thinking back, I mean, yeah, I was happy on that day, but it was kind of like riding a roller coaster, you're kind of clanking up to the top and getting ready to go down. So, happy and scared and a whole bunch of other things. So yeah, but what is the happiest day? Well, I was really freaking happy the day I became a dad, and I was really freaking happy once again the second time it happened. So I would say that probably my happiest days were the days that I became a dad, and a dad twice over. And I don't know, I can't really think of anything that has made me happier than those days. And in those cases, it was just so, I was so overwhelmingly happy that it kind of overwhelmed all the misgivings and what am I going to do now? And I don't know if I was just abnormal in that regard, but I felt really well prepared, and I felt like I was going to do a good job, and I was ready to do my best, and that I felt confident that it was going to be way better than a lot of kids get. And so those feelings kind of just diminished any misgivings I had. I mean, I was a little worried when my daughter was born. She was born 6 weeks preterm, and so there was a lot of, there were a lot of medical staffers talking about whether or not she'd need time in the NICU and a whole bunch of, contingencies they were preparing us for. But we were the lucky ones, and everything was fine. She was born early, but she very quickly started excelling at everything that she tried to do, and so she's just been amazing. And my son is he's the second child, and he was born much closer to the due date, and he's just been trucking along in amazingness. And right now he's starting to learn to talk, and he's toddling very well, and just so much fun to hang out with and play with all the time. So hands down, happiest days of my life. And it's only like beats out just about every day by a small margin, because every day when I get home and I see the kids freaking out, oh good, dad's home, because a lot of times I have to leave while they're still sleeping, and so I peek in on them and I see how they're doing, and in their sleep, but I do so very quietly so that mom gets a little bit of time alone before the kids wake up. And yeah, so if I'd say that I'd encourage other people who first of all, if you're not ready to have kids, then don't have kids, and take the responsible measures to avoid doing so. I've had interesting conversations with people in the past, and it's amazing how they get so caught up on catchphrases and what the catchphrase means within their social construct compared to what it actually means in the literal sense. So it kind of destroys the ability to have a rational discussion with anyone about the literal sense of the term. I talked with someone about, abstinence as a form of birth control, and as long as you truly abstain, there's no way to have a baby. And the people were flipping out, and they were arguing that abstinence was not effective. And it's like, well, it's effective if you do it, and I agree that people don't do it, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual abstinence. And of course, there are all kinds of birth control that people can use, but I would say that, so that's step one, is, my wife and I, we knew we wanted every single kid that we had, and and we were responsible, and we didn't have kids before we wanted them, and so I don't know. I think that's kind of something that I wish more people would consider, because I think that I give my kids a really good life, and I think that there are a lot of kids that don't have some of the things that my kids have that get a perfectly wonderful life. And I think the real key to that is peaceful parenting. I just got back from the store with my family, and we went out to dinner at Taco Bell, a real luxury meal, but a couple of us were craving it. And my daughter had never been to Taco Bell, so she kept seeing the bell, and it was kind of a funny story. We'd drive around town, and my daughter would see the bell, and she'd say, "What's that place?" And, but when I was a kid, I saw the Bell logo as well, and I couldn't read, so I assumed that the restaurant was called Ding Dong Bell. And I actually didn't eat at a Taco Bell until I was probably 19, when a bunch of coworkers found out that I'd never eaten at Taco Bell, and I went and I ate at Taco Bell with them, and it was pretty good. I just had some new sauce. It's like hotter than fire sauce. I forget what they call it, but it was really good. I had a bunch of it in my burrito, and a little bit more on a quesadilla. Really, I like spicy sauce. So anyway, I went there with my kids, and they were so well behaved that the guy who was, cleaning off the tables stopped as we were packing up and getting our kids out of the high chairs and everything, and he said, "Wow," he's like, "your kids are so tidy." It's like, I mean, Winston's just 18 months. I mean, he wanted to throw some things on the ground, but he didn't get the chance. And B is just a tidy eater, and we try to teach them. Every time we go into a store, I try to get my kids to greet and interact with the employees there, and to know that when she goes into a store, it's the people who work there's responsibility to keep it nice, and that there are things that we can do to maintain order and keep things tidy so that the people who work there don't have to do so much. Because I used to work in retail, and I can only imagine food service, the kind of messes people leave behind from their kids. So yeah, it means, to me, that's a nice pat on the back when people compliment my family on, I mean, I wasn't having to stand over them. That's just how they learned to behave. And they've learned all that without spanking. They've learned it all without hitting. They've learned it without us raising our voices at them. They've learned it through example and through lots of long conversations about why we do things certain ways and how other people feel about it. And so then we went, afterwards we went to Target, and Mom had to do a bunch of shopping, and I got the two kids in the cart, and they just rode around and just looked at stuff, and I just took requests. I let them guide me through the store. Winston just kind of sat there, and Bee kind of told me what she wanted to see. But after Bee wanted to play with something, I let Win play with it too for a couple of minutes, just so that it wasn't all one-sided. And they seemed to have a great time. And once again, it's like there was a guy, he was fronting all the toys in the toy section as we went through it. And I've seen so many kids that go through and they throw a fit. Daddy, I want that. Daddy, I want that. Daddy, I want that. No, you can't have it. Massive tantrum all throughout the rest of the store. My daughter saw lots of things that she wanted in the store. But one of the things I really recommend doing is, I've talked about it before in my vlog. This is the second to the last one for VEDA in August. I'll probably do a couple more in the off season because there are some things I wanted to talk about that I didn't get the chance to talk about now. But I use OneNote, which is free software. You can just go to onenote.com/download, I believe. Download it for free for any devices you have. And so that's a notebook. And what I do is I make a wish list. This is a good time of year. You got the holidays coming up. Make a wish list for each person in your family, and then as you've got the OneNote device there, you can make a wish list for yourself. It's a really good way to budget. My dad always had a rule, and sometimes I enforce this on myself. I don't buy anything unless I wanted it for at least a week, and usually it's more like a month and several months, and then only when it's in the budget. But anyway, yeah, you make a wish list for your kids, and then I use Office Lens. It's a app that works with your smartphone, and it lets you take pictures of things at odd angles, like the real world is not at right angles, and then it de-skews them, so it makes them all, it's like you laid it on a flatbed scanner. It also does text recognition, so any text in the images, it's really easy to find later in OneNote, and it's just super handy app. So I walk around with Office Lens up, and I just my daughter says, hey, I'd like that, and I take a picture of it and I put it on her wish list. And then later on we go over the wish list and we talk about things she doesn't want anymore and all that kind of stuff. But it was just interesting because the guy in the toy aisle and a couple of adults who walked by, they heard my daughter say, oh, Dad, I want that so much. Can you add it to my wish list? And it was funny because these other adults were like laughing, like that's the silliest idea I've ever heard. But it works so well, especially because it's all really she's ever known. I mean, we don't really buy things for her in the store because we like to stay on budget. And occasionally, she's 4 now, and she's had an allowance since she turned 1. And so essentially, we give everyone in the family gets $1 for every year they've been alive. So she gets $1 of that a week in the form of cash, usually dollar coins, and her brother does too. And but with B, since she's older, we've got a savings account for her, and the remainder, like she gets $1 of it, but the remainder goes into savings. So she's starting to take an interest in monetary transfers and market forces and stuff like that. She wants a little cash register toy. That was one of the things we added to the wish list. And so, yeah, we were just going through the store, and I don't know, we were in there from like 8 until 9, or maybe a little longer. But we were in there for a while, and there were other kids crying and screaming and stuff, but mine were chill. So, and part of it is just, we've got these systems set up that, first of all, we're honest about. We stick with them. I mean, when I say I'm putting it on the wish list, I'm gonna go over the wish list, and if she looks at her wish list, she's gonna find the pictures. It's not a lie. That's the thing, is a lot of adults think that they can cheat kids. Well, I mean, who really wins if you've proven that your kids are so dumb that you can fool them? I mean, that to me is not a victory. I would feel very depressed if I could fool my kids. Um, I can't fool my kids. I don't have that luxury. I mean, maybe if I lied to them all the time, I could fool them just out of sheer confusion. But I tell the kids the truth, and if I say I'm going to do something, then I do it. And I really encourage people to check out the Peaceful Parenting playlist that Stefan Molyneux has put together. He has a lot of great interviews with prominent researchers in the fields of child psychology and a number of other related fields, and he just talks about the research. And quite honestly, a lot of parents are raising their kids in ways that are they showcase and demonstrate, and they teach kids how to be violent. And I'm gonna be teaching my kids self-defense. And when you teach people how to be violent, by being violent to them, then that's not very decisive. I mean, it's you teach someone, if a larger person beats on you, you might learn to be defensive to a certain extent. But a child is probably not going to beat the adult, at least until they're a teenager. They might not win in a physical sense. And by that time, some parents, they teach their kids to be violent, and then their kids are violent to them, and then they call the police, and they get law enforcement involved, and it just devolves into a whole mess. But if you teach your kids how to be good negotiators and how to articulate what their feelings are and what they want, how to get it without violence, then I think they're set up to do better in society in general. But at the same time, you have to show them how to deal with people who are violent, people who throw tantrums, people who are toddlers walking around in adult bodies. And that's the thing that I've already been teaching my kids about, because every once in a while we encounter adults that are not adult, and it's a challenge to show a 4-year-old how to handle situations with immature adults. But once she's big enough, she seems to have my daughter seems to have a lot of interest in martial arts, so I'm encouraged there, because a friend of mine who is an adult has taken a lot of interest in, I think it's Krav Maga. It's an Israeli martial art. She was actually pushing her kids around the neighborhood, and someone almost hit them, and so she yelled at the person, like, "Hey, watch out, you almost hit my kids." And so the driver just slammed on the brakes and hopped out, and threatened to assault my friend in front of her kids and the whole neighborhood. And my friend used the skills she had in self-defense and immobilized the aggressor until law enforcement could arrive and take her into custody. So, unfortunately, that's the world we live in, where even if you teach your kids how to be, how to handle things the right way, they're also going to have to learn how to handle things when the right way is insufficient. So, that's something that I had to learn, and so unfortunately I think my kids are going to have to learn it. But I'd so much rather that just all of the parents of the world, here we are in the internet age, take some time, watch the Peaceful Parenting playlist all the way through, incorporate as much of it as you can into your life, and especially those of you who don't have kids yet or have extremely young children who could still benefit, because a lot of the research indicates it's the earliest years that make the biggest difference. But it's it's never too late to learn right from wrong, and I would encourage everyone out there to try and teach kids how to do things the right way, the ethical way, the non-violent way. And anyway, then we'll all have happier days. It'll be nice going through the store where all the parents are listening to the needs of their children and accommodating them with promises that their children know will be kept. And I just think that'd be a wonderful time. It always makes me happy when I see a parent skillfully dealing with a child, not treating a child like a pet, not treating them like something subhuman, but treating them as a little friend. And so those are all happy days in my life as well. So anyway, if you could do me a favor, and if there were any comments in this video that you thought were particularly noteworthy or that you thought were interesting, then please put them in all caps in a comment, and maybe share your thoughts on them. And like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos in the off season, or if you'd like to see tomorrow's video, or if you'd just like an easy way to access my playlists and see all of the other videos that I've made so far. Not all of them are perfect, but I'm just trying to learn here, so that's been the purpose of it. And even if it's no longer August, I'm really interested to there are a couple of videos that have amazingly taken off. The most popular video I've done this time seems to be about my wallet, and it's really working out well. So here it is, my minimalist wallet. It could be more minimal, and actually there are a lot of cards in here I haven't used, so I'll probably get rid of them and shrink it down. But $20 for this wallet, and super fast delivery. I mean, I might give them away as like gifts or something, since we have the holidays coming up. But people are old-fashioned. They like their cowhide securely holding their dollar bills, and I'm more of a Bitcoin kind of guy. Well, anyway, I'll talk to you tomorrow for the last vlog of VEDA in August 2016. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. They're protecting the construction workers.
Okay, but why?
Because they're working in the middle of the road.